In this video, I want to show you some advanced search control options that you have inside of the Address2 CRM. And when I say control options, there are two places inside of the CRM where control searches exist. One is under the task/history dashboard. The other is under your pipeline feature here. So if I go in here, I'm going to actually reset my filter from when I was messing a little bit earlier. Okay, so what I'm going to show you is the ability to be able to filter your history and tasks based on usership. So I can go in here and say, I want to find all tasks that are assigned to a specific set of users, maybe a team, if you will. So here at Address2, a team could be myself, Nick, and Ann, and I could search those tasks. So I'm going to hit Apply Filter. Now that's going to filter through all of our tasks because I didn't put a date frame in. So currently there are 333 records assigned between myself, Nick, and Ann at Address2. That's the first thing. The next thing is that I can even filter by event type. So if I want to see maybe just any appointments that are set for those three folks in upcoming events, I can apply filter again and filter that down to 0 appointments tasks coming up. So that's pretty weird. But let's see calls, maybe calls out that are scheduled. 9 calls out. So you'll see here, Troy needs to call Cheryl, Troy needs to call Kathy, etc. So those are the next one. The event description is this field here. So what event, maybe I need to search for, let's just say 5/1 event and hit apply filter. And there we go, Jeff Bowie. Have I talked to him since 5/1? I'm going to reset my filter again. Specifically, this comes into great use for if you're managing teams inside of Address2. So I want to see the history that Troy, Nick, and Ann have done this week. So I'm going to set my search criteria, from Monday and pay particular attention to your time. So I know we get started usually about 7 o'clock in the morning. Actually, sometimes Nick even gets in a little earlier. So I'm going to set that at 6 a.m. to today, Friday at, let's just end the day at, let's end the day at 10:30 p.m. So what have these 3 selected users, no event types, no descriptions, done between 7:02 at 6 a.m. and 7:06 at 10:30 p.m.? Apply filter. So over the last week, inside of the Address2 CRM, there have been 67 activities happen inside of there. The other cool feature that exists in controls is the ability to generate a CSV so that you can see where you're spending most of your time. Now, I can go through and generate it this way and hit it, and it'll generate all 30 selected fields, or I can go in and select what fields I want. In this case, I want to generate CSV so I can pick and choose and see it in a more cohesive fashion, if you will. This may take a few seconds to minutes for it to populate, so just give it a second here, and it's going to populate in Excel. And here it goes. So now in Excel, I can go through and figure out what columns I need to keep and what I need to delete. So in here, I don't need those. I do want to see what the description is, but I also want to shrink that. So I'm going to just drag it over this way. I probably want to keep my created date, due date, past due, yep, priority. I personally don't use that filter. Event type, great. Who the manager was, who it was that they were talking to. And then maybe I want to keep that information, but let's just delete it for now. Phone numbers, extensions I can delete. Email addresses I don't need. Customer status, delete, delete, delete. Great, so now I have a more cohesive view of what has happened. So then for me, at the end of every quarter, I actually filter down to event types. So then I go in and sort and filter A to Z so that I can see, hey, most of my time is spent emailing customers, or most of my time is spent with calls in and calls out. They were web form submissions, or week, I should say. But then I can filter down to event types. So that's why I say event types is very specific when you're adding a history or a task to yourself to make sure to say, hey, how many calls out, how many calls in? It's a great way to challenge yourself as a salesperson to be able to track, hey, I need to be making 20 calls a week, and I need to be sending 50 emails a week. So keep that in mind. And again, that's your controls under your history and task dashboard. The next place controls exist is under your pipeline. Under your pipeline, you're able to say, hey, I want to search for open pipelines for Troy, Nick, and Ann. Open means I haven't closed them, meaning I won. I haven't lost them, meaning they've told me no. So right now I have all of these in here. If I hit apply filter, it'll only show the ones that Troy personally has, or excuse me, those 3 contacts have open. I can filter by the date that it was created, the date that it was closed, if I'm searching for a closed deal. And I can also search by minimum and maximum dollar values. The other feature that is available in both the control feature in task and history, as well as in the pipeline, are the ability to search from more custom fields. So in here, I can search by the custom field of the number of months I think it's going to take to close, if I've assigned a monthly payment schedule to it. I've even personally put in my own phases. So phase 1 means I sent the quote. Phase 2 means I followed up and almost got the yes. And phase 3 means I've closed it. And then what type of proposal is it? For me, do we do customization, migration, training? What is that? So I can even filter down further that way. So again, use those control features. A good friend of mine one time said, hey, it'd be great to be able to go back and see what I did a year ago today. So under the history dashboard, you can go in and say, hey, I want to search for the history of Troy 1 year ago. So July 17th, or 2007, excuse me, or 2017. And again, make sure to pay attention to those times between 5 a.m. and July 2017, the 6th. At the end of the day, let's just say 7:30, and hit apply filter. So a year ago today, I did 14 activities. And this is great because if I see something that perks my interest here, like, let's just see. Anybody on here that I feel like I haven't talked to? I feel like I've talked to all these guys, so that's a good thing. My CRM is working. But that's another little filter under your controls that you can use if you're looking to resurrect some leads, etc. But those are the 2 things I wanted to show you today was under controls, both in the history dashboard and the pipeline dashboard. You can now search by multiple sets of people, different event types, your event descriptions, and additional fields. So keep that in mind next time you're searching. If you have any questions how to better search your database, let us know by contacting support@address2.com.